Choosing a kosher shofar. Firstly, it must come from a kosher animal, that is, an animal which has split feet and chews its cud. However, there is an exception. We do not use the horn of a cow. While a cow is kosher, the horns on a cow are actually called keren, meaning horn. And the shofar needs to come from an animal that has a hollowed out, or the ability to hollow out the shofar. So what I mean by that is these are ram's horns, and inside there's cartilage, and that cartilage comes out. The same would be for a goat or an antelope. However, a cow's horn is a solid unit, and it can be drilled out and turned into an instrument. However, that would not be a kosher shofar. Further, we also don't want to use a horn of a cow because it can remind of the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf. That is when the Israelites sinned in the desert while Moses was up on Mount Sinai and made a golden idol. Now, while the shofar needs to come from a kosher animal, the animal does not need to be shechted. It does not need to be ritually slaughtered. Ideally, you should use a shofar from a ram. And the reason being is it serves as a reminder of the Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac, where Isaac was ready to allow himself to be sacrificed to Hashem. However, we know the end of the story. Isaac was not sacrificed, and instead a ram was offered up to Hashem. So for that, we try and use a ram's horn, and these are from a ram. There are some traditions, like amongst Yemenite Jews, which have this type of shofar. The shofar must be bent. So if you see all these shofars, they are curved. They have a bend. And this symbolizes us bending ourselves to the will of God. We don't use a straight shofar. A shofar must also have no cracks, no alterations, that's no holes in it. It must be in good shape. So all these shofars are okay. The shofar must also be at least a hand's breadth. So it must be able to stick out at both ends, which realistically, you're going to probably have a very hard time blowing a shofar if it's that small. When choosing a shofar, ideally, you want to try it before you buy it. Understandably, given the global pandemic now, this can be difficult to do. However, keep in mind that no two shofars are the same. Now, I got this one when I was bar mitzvah. So when I was 13, I bought this shofar. And it was really good for me then. It suited my lips. I was able to blow it really well. I still can, but it's not my preferred shofar anymore because my lips and face have changed, but I could still blow it. Still good. Lastly, something interesting about the mitzvah of shofar is that a shofar does not need to be made lishma, that is, for the mitzvah of shofar. This is quite different from other mitzvot, for example, a Torah, or tefillin, or mezuzot. The entire process from making the parchment and making the ink and so on needs to be made for the mitzvah. If it was not made for the mitzvah, it's not kosher. However, a shofar does not need to be made for the mitzvah of shofar. So you can therefore buy a shofar provided it fits the requirements of being a kosher shofar. You can get a shofar from anyone or anywhere. You can have a robot or a chimpanzee make the shofar and it would still be kosher.
Shalom. Hi, it's Rabbi Ben here with Rabbi Ruvi. Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
I'm good, thank God. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Now, Rabbi, you've made a few shofars?
I have, yes. I've been running the Shofar factory here in Melbourne, Australia for about 15 years now.
Wow, 15 years making shofars. What inspired you to get into making shofars?
Well, I love seeing Judaism come to life. So I know a lot of people will see the rabbi blowing the shofar in the middle of shul on the high holidays, but let them actually feel what a shofar is like. Let them see how you take a raw horn from a kosher animal and turn it into this Jewish musical instrument. It just makes it so much more lively and active, their Judaism.
Beautiful, beautiful. And now this year with the global pandemic, I guess a lot of people sadly aren't going to make it to synagogue. Now, is this something like, can anyone make their own shofar?
Yeah, so that's, I'm actually Zooming a lot of my sessions here because I can't go into the local Jewish schools or to the local synagogues where we normally go teach kids. But now we can show everyone, adults and kids alike, through Zoom how it's made. And as long as you can get your hands on a raw horn from a kosher animal, you can get that from your local farm or your local abattoir, then you can learn to change that into a shofar.
Fantastic. Okay, so Rabbi, you're going to show us how to make a shofar?
Yep, I'd love to. Let's go. Welcome to the Shofar factory. Today, I will show you how to make a raw horn into a shofar. First, you have to get your horn from a kosher animal. Most commonly used is a ram's horn. And here you have the horn right here. The first thing you have to do is make sure that it is hollow. All horns, when they come off the animal, have some cartilage inside. The way we get out the cartilage is we soak it in some hot water, or if it's just been taken off the animal or fallen off the animal, then it should easily slip out just like this. As it's just some cartilage and it's normally soft and ooey and quite gooey. Then your horn is hollow and ready to get a sound out of it. Next, you have to make sure to cut off the top because you need a place to blow from. So we measure to find where the hole starts. A commonly way to do this is use a shofar measuring stick, which you put down the horn and you measure where the hole goes up to, and then you pull it out and measure on the outside that same amount. You draw a little line, and that is where you'll do your cut. So I've measured it up, and we'll start the cutting to chop off the top of the horn to get our hole. Only takes a few minutes of cutting in the right place, sturdily. Oh! We did it! We cut off the top of the horn. And now we have a hole. But just to make sure that the hole is wide enough to get your mouth into, and it's not just a simple cut, we use a standard drill to drill the hole a bit wider so we can put our lips inside. There you have it. Once you've done your drilling, you take some sandpaper, sand it down, make it nice and smooth, make those edges smooth so you don't hurt your lips when you're putting it inside the hole. And then, to make it shiny, like all shofars you see in the shops, which it doesn't have to look like that, but if you want it nice and polished and shiny, you'll sandpaper the whole side, put some varnish or polish on it, and your shofar is ready to go for Rosh Hashanah.
Well, thank you very much for showing us that, and I want to wish you a Shana Tova.
Thank you for having me. Shana Tova to you and everyone.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema